Hi, I'm Dana, and one of my last videos was all about stims that I do, and someone asked if I could do like a little I was gonna say guide. I'm not guiding anyone, just a little video about the stims that you can do while out and about and while in public that are less likely to be noticed, or at least less likely to be noticed as stims. Just sort of ways that you can go about being yourself and it doesn't necessarily feel safe or okay to be yourself. So I do want to start off by saying that as much as I do think it's entirely okay to stim in public and to be seen doing stims and to just generally be yourself, you know, I also completely understand feeling too anxious to do that, feeling like the place that you're in isn't appropriate. There's times when like you just don't want people to notice that you're stimming. I get that. So I'm not trying to be like, you should hide your stims by doing this. I absolutely think we should just stim freely, but I also know that's not always the option. I also want to say that I have no like baseline for what's normal, and I'm constantly terrified that everyone that's around me notices everything that I do. So take this with a pinch of salt. It's just the things that I do. So starting out is I will focus on specific body things. I'll explain. So if I'm walking somewhere, I might focus on making sure that like my left hand is in time with my right leg and things like that. I tend to only do one arm because I do feel like I'm like marching if I do both, but it's completely, you know, you see people all the time swinging their arms while they walk. So I just do that with like extreme intention and count it as a stim because it's something that I am doing as a stim, you know? If I'm sat down, I might cross my legs, and as an autistic person, I feel like a lot of things that I do are sort of just mirroring and copying things that I've seen other people do and internalised as being a normal thing to do. So I will cross one leg over the other and focus on like gently rocking that foot back and forth. And I want to shake it. I do a lot of like the leg shake, the leg jumping. You've seen it. And most of the time that's okay. I've not had people point it out very often, but I have had a few times that people have noticed and been like, are you okay? Because I think it is becoming more known as like an anxiety tell. So by just crossing your legs and slowly moving your foot, you get to stim, and people think it looks, you know, I've seen people doing it when I've been being interviewed by someone, just on the train, just in coffee shops. It feels like a lot of people just automatically do that without even thinking about it. So by focusing on it, I can then use it as a stim while knowing that it's something that people do. And I will also clench muscles that you can't see. And I know like a lot of people talked, I feel like it's a leftover of having an ED, but you can like clench the butt muscles and most of the time no one will notice. But the main one that I do, can people? Nah, see, you can't tell I'm doing it. I clench like this muscle here in your back / shoulder. I think that it's a leftover from my musical theatre days. It's the muscles that you're meant to clench to belt, like to project your voice. But I don't do it when I'm speaking, otherwise I think it would probably... Does it change the way that I sound when I speak? Can you tell? But I do that. I clench and unclench a lot of muscles that you won't be able to tell that I'm clenching and unclenching, you know? Legs are more obvious for me, whereas like doing like backs and shoulders, just I don't feel like you notice it at all. In a similar vein, my next one is hand and finger stuff. And this one varies because I will say that I made a friend specifically because I was in a club to see a different friend's band play. And I noticed that someone in the crowd was doing the finger thing when you just... that one. And I was like, you're like me, and now they're my friend. So it worked out. But obviously like that's something that some people might notice, and it might not always be the people like me that's like, I do that, you're going to be one of me now. Like it might not always be in the best way. So like it is also something you can do in your pockets though. And I also do a lot of just like rubbing. I used to have the spinny rings, but they went really gross and had like, they were grim. They were really cheap on Amazon. I'm sure you can get good ones that won't go like that. But I still like have the leftover of like, I had the beads there, so I would do that to spin the beads. And I feel like that's again just a little bit less noticeable. And like, it's one of those things where I know that like if a stim don't hit, it don't hit. But like I've also like sort of done it so that I can have like a sort of relaxed fist and use my thumbnail to just play with like the little bit of chub that you get in your hand there when it's a fist. And I've not had anyone notice that or point it out or like seem like they're looking at it. So like I do a lot of stuff with my hands. Like I also do a lot of like, it's stuff where like I'll have it down in my lap under a table or whatever, people won't notice it. And if you're just walking past them or walking with them, you can just do it with the hand that's not facing them, you know? And having mentioned my spinny rings, that's my next one, because you can do the stimmy clothes and accessories. You know, like I have shirts that I like the texture of the buttons on them, so I can just rub the button and that looks very normal if anyone even looks. And I haven't noticed anyone looking at it, you know? I feel like a lot of people will like, here's a textured button, let's have a little rub of it. And you can also get actual stim jewellery, like the spinny like anxiety rings that have beads and stuff on them. There's bracelets that you can get, like it doesn't have to be specifically stim jewelry, you know, just wearing a bracelet where you can like play with the beads and stuff. I quite often have a scrunchie on my wrist, and I will just sort of do that while I'm doing stuff, while I'm talking to people, while I'm dealing with things. And it's one of those things where like people will notice that a bit more, because like, duh, but I'll do it like kind of down low and I'll be paying attention, so it just looks like fidgeting, you know. It doesn't look like anything weird, it doesn't look like anything out of the usual, it doesn't look like anything that anyone else wouldn't do if they happen to have a scrunchie on their wrist. I just happen to have a scrunchie on my wrist for the reason of stimming. I also used to wear necklaces quite regularly, because again, a lot of people just reach up and sort of fiddle and play with a necklace. Earrings are another similar one, but I don't like having anything like too big and it gets tangled. I don't like earrings, but that's one that you could do, especially if you get ones with like beads and just little things that you can spin and fidget with. And in regards to stimmy clothes, obviously I mentioned buttons, but I will also like with sweaters, when they have like the ribbed bit here, this is a bad one. I mean, this is one of my safe jumpers, but I have sweaters that have like much more defined ribbing here, and I will often just like do that, or like otherwise I will have my thumb inside and sort of like individually go over each ridge. And I can't do it with this one, but like when it's more defined you can. And it's again like when you're doing stuff with your clothes and things that you just happen to have on you, people just don't seem to find it out of the ordinary or even notice it as much. Like if they do notice it, it's one of those things that's just immediately like, oh, they're fidgeting, and they don't care, you know, it just moves on. Now obviously more obvious is fidget toys, stim toys. I use my Tangle a lot, and I've just gotten some new ones. So I've got one of these blocks that I've seen all over TikTok, and I won't lie, fucking love it. It's such a, I don't know, there's just something about it that's so enjoyable. And it's one of those things where like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's that weird these days for people to have little fidget toys, you know. I know they're calling them fidget toys, but I very much see them as stim toys. It's a way to stim. And I feel like from having them be more normalised, it's, you know, you can get away with a little bit more. Maybe not like a full this, or like, this isn't the Tangle, this is like my home Tangle. I have a blue one that I take out and about with me, but it's in my coat pocket. But this is the one that I use at home, because obviously people are a bit more likely to notice a gold shiny thing. But you can get lots of different patterns and designs to make it suit your style, look more normal for you. Again, I'm using normal in the terms of like, it's what's normalised by society. I'm not using it as like a good thing or a bad thing. And the other stim toy that I really recently got is one of these like fidget cubes. And on the one hand, when I'm in my room alone here, I love the clicks. There's a little metal ball that also does a click, and there's also these like remote buttons that like, they don't do a click. I thought, oh, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. These two don't, but the middle three do. There's a little spinny bit, there's these little spinny bits. And the reason I'm including this is because it's so small. So like, if you were like really, really not feeling it, you know, you can't really tell I've got anything in my hand as such. Obviously I wouldn't do like the noisy ones, I'd probably do that one. And then you can just spin, and like, I also don't have particularly big hands, so like, you know, you can disguise that quite easily, and it's also something that can be done in your pocket. And that's why I bring up the Tangles too, because this is one that I keep in my coat pocket, and it will literally just, I'll have my hand in my pocket while I'm walking, while I'm sat down, whatever, and I'll just be doing like minor stims with it, you know. I'll just be like wrapping it around my hand and just minor little stims with it, just in my pocket, very like slight. No one's ever called me out or noticed it as far as I'm aware. Like, that's my like little like stealth one, I suppose. But I am also really excited to actually take this out and about with me. I've literally not left the house since it arrived, but I'm gonna really enjoy it. I'm also intending to like start click training my friends when they do things I like. I might. And my final one is like truly normalised stims. So chewing gum is one that I've done a lot when I'm in like just general situations that I don't want to be in, quite frankly. And I know that I'm going to mask, and I'm going like, when I'm fully like, when I mask, when it's like a situation that I'm incredibly uncomfortable in, I can't prevent the mask, and the mask is there and it's on, and I'm not going to stim properly while it's on, because it doesn't feel right, because I'm not the person that stims in that moment. I'm the masked version of me, you know? So it's become like almost like a character trait for the most masked version of me to have some chewing gum. And I mostly don't chew it, honestly. Like, I get it soft, like I don't keep the little like pellet in my mouth. Like, I do chew it so that it's chewed. But then I mostly just move it around my mouth with my tongue. I will like press it into a nice flat layer on the roof of my mouth or under my tongue. Like I just fuck about with it essentially once it's soft. I don't really chew it. I don't. And I say chewing gum, I get fucking bubble gum. I get myself some like Hubba Bubba. Like I need it to be like apple or orange or like some fun like little fruity flavour. I don't like mint and peppermint and stuff. That's just way too much and it makes my eyes water. The other like normalised one that I do it every time I go to the job centre is I get a cup of coffee. And I don't even, that's a lie, I do enjoy getting a cup of coffee. It is a nice little treat. And it does like, for that reason it makes me feel better, and you get like the stimulation of a flavour, you know, you have something to drink. But it's also that most of the coffee cup, sorry, someone's just walked up to my front door and I sit right in the front window. Ugh, they can hear me. Oh, it's my housemate. It's my housemate. What was I saying? Yeah, so I always get a cup of coffee because once it's like mostly empty, you can start just picking away the outside and you can like run your nails on the seam, and a lot of them are ridged, or they'll give you like a little like cup holder thing that goes on it, and you can like do all sorts of fidgets and stims with that, and that's a good time. And like in most situations, people won't think it's strange or unusual that you've got a cup of coffee and that you're sort of fiddling with it a little bit. And you can also, I often like will hold it in both hands and be doing stuff with my thumbs like facing me, so they can't even tell that I'm doing anything at all. They're the only ones that I made in my notes because I was fully convinced that once I started talking about it I would think of more, but I haven't. But that is the end of my little list and ideas. That is pretty much everything I do to be able to stim out in public without being noticed so much and without making myself more anxious. Like sometimes that's the thing, is like if I took this out, as much as I enjoy the stim of it, I know that I would just be more anxious for being seen with it and having it out and about, you know? But yeah, that's the end of the video. So please comment below with like any ideas that you have, anything that you do in this type of situation. I would love to hear it. For now though, I post here 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. I post daily over on TikTok and very sporadically over on Instagram. And you can also, if you wanted to, donate to me monetarily via Patreon or Ko-fi, and all of that will be linked down below. But we have officially entered into a recession now, so you don't have to donate anything, I get it. Like I will do a perfectly nice video and then be like, and we've gone into a recession, guys. But you can send me money if you want. So there's that, that's that. Moving on, whoever you are and wherever you are, if you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I will see you again in a couple of days.